This is Ryan, and welcome back to Sentinels of the Future. Today I'm going to do another one by Victor that is a point phrase quantum reversal. When I looked for this video, I could not find the original, so I had to use a previous version I downloaded from YouTube that was originally called God's Lamp. I have the original video in non-digital form on tape, but I guess I was just too lazy to move it again from the tape to the computer. Instead, I just made a bar where the old captions were and retranscribed it. Eventually, I'll probably update this lesson with the raw video, but for now, I think this will be good enough. These are very short phrases and sentences that I reversed in the exact order they came in the original video with some very interesting content in them. So this is what Victor says in the first three parts. He starts off with, "I can't believe that I'm free to talk what might seem good to very bad. Ryan, he has to know if these things coming are frightening. He knows that we don't deceive him with immoral silence. We'll have miracles, releasing the light with timing. We need to pass it with some vital talking Budgie contents placed on record for future reference. We know you must see some light in what we've been trying to pass to you. What's next if you choose to construct your future that starts to place devotion and even follow some of your dreams?"
I'm free. I'm talking like single, the very bad. Ryan asked to be sick coming last Friday. You know, so we love you see me. Signing up. You're even police and you got that. You're fine. That's up.
What'd you say?
They got talking Budgie contacts. Please talk to Clark. Victor.
Yes.
Victor, stop. Comes Dr. Victor. It's Dr. Pleasy.
One of the things that the angels do not want to do is frighten people by making prophecies of doom. However, these things have to be said in hope that we will change as a human race before it is too late. So that's the reason Victor starts off with saying some of these things might seem good to very bad. In the next two parts, Victor talks about ideals, and perhaps some will differ on which ones are good or bad here. So he starts off in part 4 saying, "When it comes, actually, they'll see and get to think your ideals are alike, raised as God let them glow. Follow them, which helps you, and eventually you'll find use for each of them. If this passion is looking for an issue, you're accepting what they want to. Until they listen, treasure them. Defending this is only better until they've heard it all. We'll show them a vision that forgets the illusion if they're there to learn. They'll listen. And they'll enjoy many treasures we see in people."
It comes something.
That's
Say,
better.
it doesn't take you. I think I don't like rights as that. That will follow that. I'm sad as hell. You're not that you can. I use this. Yes. You must not okay.
This way.
I just shoot there's something in me. What did the like is a right to that or been the pass on it better. I did it. But I no. I did that. That you know that you never had it there. I said I let me know we did it. That's what you see there.
In that last one, Victor mentions that if you have a passion to find fault in what we are doing here, then you are accepting the illusions that others have and want you to accept. So instead of looking for faults in this, we should be treasuring and enjoying what God and the angels are doing here. In the next two parts, Victor talks about ideals and abandoned knowledge. He says, "Certainly, if there's a breakage, part of it will look as if there is a foul, if all these treasures of knowledge are abandoned. It's about time they shall hear the truth that is spoken in here. Our request is, anyone can do something more. This time the future will be right there and be watching, because this world knows that our peace is going to help free our history. Ryan, I'm sure you know that things in life will have emotion that," and then that continues on in the next part.
with the land as a black tax. But the back, because of their sin, Mr. is a that is good to me. That is this. And you want to do something better. Right there be what's cheap, good to burn. You know, he's snowy, but you must leave it knowing that.
If there's one thing that the internet is good for, it's bringing knowledge to the world, especially when it comes to our forgotten past. There are a growing number of YouTube sites out there like Truth Disclosure TV and Forbidden or Secret Archaeology that brings us evidence of past civilizations that go back as far as 12,500 years ago and even before that. They show how past civilizations had advanced building techniques even beyond our abilities today. There's a growing number of researchers and scientists who are starting to believe that many of the ancient myths are based in some form of reality as well. In order for humanity to not repeat the problems of the past, we must know the truth about it so we can prevent the same thing from happening in the future. So Victor finished off part 8 with, Ryan, I'm sure you know that things in life will have emotion that will be parts of the song this time. If you are decent, this gives a rise to the quality of a great world. It's better to forgive your beginning if it isn't things that you have success in. There's worth in knowing your insight has a new song beginning. If the future comes with agony, it's all because you're lied to. When you watch TV, weather's events grow a lot. If they don't propose it's urgent, they'll be showing you a reason to assume you don't realize what's really happening.
You want this? Excuse me. Right, you got this.
That's better.
Big bird. Victor.
That's it.
As you know it, as you know it's not Victor comes in after you, only question actor. When you watch TV, right there is a place club. You need to know it, so you know, even that is what you do.
It's very interesting how Victor makes the point about TV in this time and age, and especially the news, not expressing enough the importance of the growing number of weather events these days. These events were not as bad 20 years ago when this recording was made either. In the next 3 parts, Victor says, people who take lies like that, they'll then become believed forever, and you confuse it easily. It forces your spirit to become incomplete if you believe it completely, and you'll recall it. It's our right to recall it right. If your phone gives you a message and you don't hear it right, you won't know if it's important for you unless you find a way to see it right, or you have to assume. Don't rush it or you'll be confused. The quantum is something from the miracles that assume you heard the message, and this atom is requiring measurable waves of light always.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
See, right, you have to see the rest of the year become please. Because I was seminary, those good here, because she wasn't, I don't know, she was what you read, and she had one, always these 9 areas.
You can usually count on Victor to throw in examples to prove a point. And in the ones we just listened to, he talked about the quantum and how atoms require waves of light to be measurable. It's important to understand that everything in life consists of waves of light and sound waves, which are the glue that holds everything together. In part 12 he finished off with, and this atom is requiring measurable waves of light always. And then in forward part 13 he says, to beckon people to relate to those philosophies that people cannot undo. You're good when you believe a Budgie, which has you now looking towards heaven. And you'll see this heaven is fine and glowing, providing some place one should believe in. If they watch TV, it could induce some change if there's some good there. Freedom is not something so unusual. We'll be showing how we can help seize what we can engage without thinking you're cursed.
People do really those. You have some cheese and people collected to look movies about cheese. That was a please, why do you want to watch TV? There is some change. There's a beer.
It's wonderful how God and the angels want us to know that there's great hope for the future, and humanity's future is not doomed or cursed as many people think we are. Before I go any further, I want to go back to 3 minutes and 32 seconds of that last part. Right at the time Victor is talking about looking towards heaven, an anomaly appears at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, where pixels start to form of what looks like a small bird with its back towards an arrow pointing to heaven. So if I slow it down and just go over it a little bit, you can see how it forms in the video. And so it disappears, and then when you get to the reverse part, you can see it forming as you go along very slowly. There it is, starting to form now. It's starting to pixelate. And you can see the tail coming out, and the cute little thing is that actually looks like it turns its head here and looks right at you. And the perfect little arrow pointing to heaven. That's so neat. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, sorry for that interruption. Let's move on to the next parts. He finished off part 14 by saying, we'll be showing how we can help seize what we can engage without thinking you're cursed. You're cursed if you carry the curse further for this world. Future spirits shall train you to know the truth. We are enslaved if it's not really what's needed for future support. You better believe it talks to this birdie. It's such a pity that this broken boy can't just speak like a man. I have to be emotionally impure if I see no reason to worry about survival of the future of humanity. Let's move on to part 17 and 18, and then I'll go back to something from a previous part that I want to go over. So, in the forward part of 17 he says, would you want this pretty boy's heart? What do you think? Haha. Because I can see the future of people who can't grow. So I'll hail you to truly forgive these passive attempts to combat confusion about life. You'll need to evolve through every Christmas, Happy New Year, to convey the truth and toast to peace. How long does one stall this to believe the truth? The truth they restore might just grow, flourishing, health spiritually. So, what's a real image of a soul to function morally? See the truth, or soon you will forget what really passes through your heart. So in that last part, there were two spots where Victor mentioned his heart. He said, "Would you want this pretty boy's heart?" And he also said, "See the truth, or soon you will forget what really passes through your heart." So, the reason I'm mentioning this is because back a few clips ago, at 3 minutes and 35 seconds, another anomaly appeared shortly after the first one. And guess where it was? Right in the area of his heart. You'll be able to see it on the original video called God's Land that I did a few years ago as well. Moving on to parts 19 to 21, Victor says, "It's important to push a door for a spiritual point you're accepting. Why do you backstep when nobody tries to harm you? Is Ryan stuck in a world where there's no one to help and nothing I say shall encourage your love and respect?" We've told him, surely don't be sad if it will be you and I doing it ourselves. Tell them we need a religion that has worked only on what will be one day. We know we want emotions that shows there is a mission he will follow with a passion. We feel for him as a favorite prophet of the past. Heaven knows we don't want evil. All he wanted was to believe all truths. Do you believe the proof should punish a parrot because of a lie? Would you want a bad oracle who shouldn't show them all the lies? We'll exalt him for what he knows, for we know him very well. In the next two parts, Victor says, "If you don't believe him, you'll punish the future. When the people do something in prophecy, then they'll pick up the candle. If they cannot see without bickering, they're not observing, they're avoiding, and all they've learned doesn't matter. If they look at prophecy with their questions, I shall try to resolve the issues so they'll know we'll answer the questions. In my collection, people will be looking in a notebook they own while they're calling these goods to merit. You at least know we are with our nose to evil when we're pleading for this great challenge from God."
You're talking too fast, Vic. You're talking so fast. Hey, slow down. Talk more to the mic, too.
You may have noticed that the pixelation on Victor's chest came up again a few times in the last part, and it seemed to follow him as he moved. I went back to the original video I did of Victor in 2009 called God's Land. It was a longer video and it was in slow motion. I will often cut a video in half if I think it's too long, so this video starts about halfway through. Even though you can see the anomalies happening, he isn't saying anything about his heart in the earlier version. So if you think I somehow added these anomalies, it would not make sense that they are in the 2009 version as well. I believe that it did happen when I converted the video from the original tape to the digital format, though. I also believe that the anomalies are a representation of Victor's wonderfully warm heart. Victor also cracks a joke in this one when I drop the camera and it flashes toward his feet for a few seconds. In the final two parts, Victor says, "Remember, you're doing good work if you tell the truth." "What you doing, toenails?" "Mine are sick probably." "If you see cheese, don't pew them today." It is beautiful to see who's moving about this channel. We see no union hurting Ryan. They'll love your direct lessons and prophecies. Just give it time. Kiss kiss Ryan's future, when it can become picked up and complete with company. God has entered your future and calls, because he can see what you've done. He picked your land, and because of that your land took form, and he watches. I know God. You will need to know why he cultured Earth. God should know Victor's a good boy at proving your work. Your future is more bright if your boat pulls towards stones of truth. Don't you flee from thy path. Watch God now dispatch your channel. He knows you're a soldier with some problems. He has long seen you learn in your field of dreams. No religion should count on a hero to die for it. How does he know that Ryan really takes a lot of care in it? There is no issue which arrived in his life where he chose, certainly there wasn't, evil. I can feel Ryan throughout eternity helping, and this we all shall see.
You love Ryan, Victor? I was working on this transcript on Saturday, the 27th of April, 2019. It was that day that another terrible shooting happened at a Jewish synagogue and a woman was killed. She apparently threw herself in front of the rabbi and saved his life. It was a miracle that the rabbi survived. Later on in the news, a very good friend of the woman who died said, "If God chose Lori, he had a good reason." So when Victor says, no religion should count on a hero to die for it, I believe he was referring to what happened in the synagogue that day. We learned early that God does not expect us to sacrifice our lives for him or anyone, and he does not hold us in judgment if we are concerned about our own lives, for it is only a natural part of us to think about our own survival. And if we do make a sacrifice to protect someone else, he surely will hold us in high regards as well. So this is not a slight on how Jesus died on the cross, because it was not part of God's plan for it to happen in the first place. This completes this presentation. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our new Sentinels of the Future channel, which has all the latest presentations in one place, or visit our website at theangelscrolls.com.